Yo, what's going on? What it do, what it ain't, and what it is. It's your brother, J International, back at it again with another one. This time, I'm live in Vietnam. Yeah, that's right. Your brother is at it again. What this channel was originally created for was for travel and information. And so here I am in South Vietnam, Saigon. But so far so good. Everything's cool. It's my first time in Vietnam, and it's cool. It's what you expect of most Southeast Asian countries. I've been to I believe Thailand, and yeah, actually one other. It was only Thailand, but really not too much different, other than minor cultural differences, I guess. But pretty much it's all the same. But yeah, man. Toast to y'all, man. Toast to y'all. Hope y'all living y'all best life. So as I was out here today, and I was walking around the streets, a thought came to my mind, and it was really it was a random thought, but the thought that came to my mind was, if someone were to ask me, if I was being interviewed, and someone were to ask me, in all my travels and all my years of travel, if there was one piece of advice I can give to a young brother, or a brother that's never really traveled outside of the matrix, what would that one piece of advice be? And this is a piece of advice that I had to learn the hard way. I had to learn through my own traveling, right? And that piece of advice would be, have no expectations. Period. It's really that simple. Have no expectations, especially as a black male. Now, you might say, man, why do you say that? Well, I only speak from personal experience. I remember a time when I was first really getting my feet wet in international travel, and I think I had been out of the country maybe once or twice at this time. And it was during this time I was listening to a lot of YouTube videos about brothers leaving the matrix, and brothers not satisfied with things that go on within the matrix, and how leaving the matrix would provide them with a whole better lifestyle. And what would happen was, often the brothers would fetishize, or basically over exaggerate the things that one was to expect, just being a black man from the matrix, from America. And so I really, really, really bit into it. I was like, man, as we know, brothers that's watching this video, life in the matrix as a black man is rough. Black men in the matrix have it harder than all other groups of men in the matrix, right? We know that, right? So whenever we hear a glimpse of hope about another place where things may be better for us, we may cling on to that. Now, as I said, I had already left the country already, but I was still new. I was still a baby in it. getting my feet wet. I was still new in it. You know what I mean? It wasn't like I had been all these places yet. You know what I mean? And now I know what really is the deal. But I was just like still new. And so when I was hearing these brothers that were, I guess, had more experience in traveling, you know, and I ain't gonna, knock them, but now that I look back at it, you know, they didn't really have much experience traveling, because pretty much they only go to one place or two places, They haven't really, and that's really all they go to. That's really all they would go to. You know what I mean? As where I'm at now, I done been all over. I go places, I've been places most brothers haven't been. But anyway, so, I was like, okay, these brothers are more experienced. These individuals are more experienced in traveling. So it seems. So I listened to it, and I took it in. And I took it in wholeheartedly about, man, the way the women treat the brothers, over in these particular countries overseas. They treat us like they treat us like gods. They worship the ground we walk on. Just things like that. Things like that. I would listen to those things and I would be like, wow, man, I can't wait. I want to experience that. I'm so sick of this matrix. I'm so sick of the shit we gotta go through in the matrix, and I'm ready to experience that, man. I'm really ready. I was really hyped up, listening to these videos. I'm like, okay. And so, just hearing different things like, oh, you ain't gotta worry about racism, you ain't gotta worry about police brutality, you ain't gotta worry about this, that, and the other that we gotta worry about in the States. Sisters treat you better. The other races of women treat you better, all this, right? And so second time around, when I go out of the country, I'm all hyped up, I'm all pumped up now. You know what I mean? I'm like, man, because the first time I didn't really do much because I was new, and I went to go visit somebody that knew the area way better than me, spoke the language, and so I was really under his wing. So I didn't really get to experience it, like, get to really, really experience it, because I was really under him. I was really following him and doing what he was doing, you know what I mean? But anyway, so this was the first time I was actually going by myself, to experience it by myself and whatnot. And so I get there, man, and with all these expectations, and it just didn't happen like that. The women weren't throwing they selves at me because I was a black American man, and they weren't going crazy over me and bending over and dropping their draws, and all these exotic women weren't just foaming at the mouth for me, whatever. I mean, it was just like, oh, you're American, so what? You know what I mean? It kind of was like really like that, like, oh, you're American, so what? Mate, you here and there, you may get a spark, because a woman sees that you from America, but for the most part, they were not throwing themselves at me just because I was from America. It was for the most part, it was just like, oh, okay, all right, you from America, cool, all right. The women played the same type of games that sisters in the States play, or women in the States play. In fact, they played them worser, you know what I mean? Because they was just super, super flaky, like you would meet women, you would, and I'm speaking in particular of South America, but Brazil, Colombia, but in particular Brazil. So you will meet women, and you would have a cool conversation with them. At this time, I learned some Portuguese, so I was able to speak it and communicate decent. And so you would do these things, and then you'll get their WhatsApp, because that's how they communicate overseas. Everybody got WhatsApp, and then you try to set a date up, and you thinking, damn, cool, this woman feeling me. She even gave me a kiss, all the stuff, right? So you feeling like it's about to really go down. Come time for y'all to meet up, you reach out to her, no response. Now, up until that point, y'all was texting, y'all was communicating. Up until that time, he was like, "Damn, you really feeling like you about to get it popping?" And come around that time, hit him up, no response. Hit him up, call him, don't pick up. And this would happen consistently. You know what I mean? It wasn't like it just one here and there. Like it happened consistently. And then the funny thing about it is they'll hit you up the next day or the day later, like nothing happened. You know? And so I understood it was a cultural thing, but super flaky, play games, just like the women in the States. So I found out all this, you know, coming there with all these high expectations, it just really messed up my mood, you know, really messed up that trip for me. Really did. You know what I mean? That was one of my, I could say, worst experiences outside of the country, because I had come with all these goddamn, I had allowed myself, and the onus is on me. I can't place that on nobody else. The onus is on me, you know, because you allow yourself to, whatever happens to you, for the most part, you allow these things, these influences to happen on you. So I allowed myself to be influenced and, you know, get all these high expectations, you know what I mean? And so yeah, just really nothing. All these expectations that I had that I went this time around, none of them really panned out, and it ended up making me very frustrated, and it made me to dislike the place. You know, I'm like, man, F this place. You know what I'm saying? That's how I was really feeling towards the end of it. You know what I mean? Like, F this place. I'm tired of this. You know what I mean? So, but let's say had I not come there with expectations, right? Let's say if I would have just come there and I would have, you know, would have been like, cool, whatever happens, happen. If I have a good time, that's a bonus. If I don't have a good time, oh well. You know what I mean? For the most part, I don't have anything outside of me, anything externally I have no control over, so thus I'm not going to have these high expectations on these things, right? So if I would have went there with that mindset, then none of that shit would have bothered me. And so that's what I learned after that point. And so I eventually, it took a while, but I said, you know what, let me go back. And I eventually came back, and the trip was so much better because I had no expectations at all, you know. Not even to make it there. Like, I had nothing, because nothing in life is guaranteed, man. Nothing in life is certain, except that for that we gonna all die. That's the only thing we can really be certain about. So I went there this time. The next time around, it was a much better trip because I really had no expectations. And since that point, I done been all over the world. I done been in some places that is known to be very primitive in their mindset in terms of race and color, and I was cool. I didn't have, you know what I mean? Like, I went to India, and India, you already know the caste system, all that shit. They got a group of black people out there they call the untouchables. I knew that. You know, that's the worst place. Like, if any, it ain't Europe. You know, because at least in Europe, you know, certain parts of Europe, you may think, oh, black people shouldn't go there, or they're gonna face a certain type of racism there. Like, no, it'd be places like India where they've been brainwashed so goddamn bad in a real primitive mindset that that yeah, man, it's just crazy, man. It's like a ignorance, you know what I mean? It's like very primitive and stupid thinking, really. If you really look at it, at the end of the day, I think that because of a color, because you're lighter in shade, you're better than the darker cast. But anyway, that's another video. I do want to talk about my experience in India, and that is another video that I'm going to talk about soon. You know, I had never. It was earlier this year, but I never did a video on it and touched on it, so I do want to touch on that. But you know, but when I went there, I didn't have no expectations. You know, I'm like, I know how Indian people are, especially living in the Bay Area. You know, so I'm like, but yeah, when I went there, none of that shit bothered me. You know what I'm saying? Like they was staring, they was looking, they was, you know, all that shit. But I didn't have no expectations about nothing, so I'm like, oh, so what? You know what I mean? But yeah, man, that you know, I know this video's dragging on, but yeah, that'd be my piece of advice, man. Is that just don't have no expectations when you do decide. For all you brothers, particularly black men that have not left the country, this is what I would say to you. And you know, you notice I'm not focusing on white men, because pretty much what I've seen from traveling this whole world, the situation that the white man has created for himself, he is worshipped all over. All over. It hasn't been one place that I've been, and I've been to every continent except Antarctica. He might even be worshipped there. But the white man pretty much is worshipped all over the world. You know, he's the ideal. You know what I mean? He's created that situation for himself by the system of white supremacy. We understand that that's how that situation was created. Not that he is superior, but he's created this system of white supremacy and global white supremacy that has made the non-white peoples of the world to view the white race as the superior race, right? So that's why I can't really focus this video on the white brethren, because it really don't apply to y'all. Like, you know what I mean? Like, pretty much any country you go to outside of Europe, you're going to be treated. I mean, y'all see these videos, man. You know, white men with long hair walking through Africa, and they worshiping him like he's Jesus or something. You know, just because he got long hair. But for my brothers, like I said, man, if you travel and you go to these spots, just have no expectations. Not even an expectation that you're going to have a good time or a bad time, but just really be neutral. And you will find that the trip will go so much smoother. If you have a good time, that's just a plus. If you have a bad time, oh well, you didn't have no expectations. So with that said, out here in Vietnam, about to go chill, you know, sip on my wine and unwind, and you know, peace. Like, you know, share my video and subscribe. I'll holler at y'all later.